Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Master English Together, the podcast where we help you learn English in a simple, fun, and natural way. I'm Brandy.
And I'm Jason. We are so happy you are here with us today. Whether you are just beginning your English journey or you have been learning for a little while, this podcast is for you. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
That's right. And today we have a really exciting and very useful topic for you. We are going to talk about money and budgeting in English. Yes, money, something we all think about every single day.
Exactly. And by the end of this episode, you will know how to talk about your money, your spending, your savings, and your financial goals all in English. We will go slowly, use simple words, and give you lots of real examples. So don't worry, we've got you.
All right, Jason, let's start with the big picture. What is personal finance? Because this is a term, personal finance, that people use a lot, but beginners might not know exactly what it means. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying this podcast and it's helping you learn English, we'd love your support. Please hit that like button and share it with your friends and family so we can all grow together.
And make sure to subscribe to Let's Master English Together so you're always the first to know when we drop a new episode. It really helps us reach more learners around the world, and we are so grateful for every one of you. Great place to start. So personal finance, let's break it down. Personal means it is about you, your life, your situation. And finance means money. So personal finance simply means how you manage your own money.
Right. So personal finance includes things like how much money do you earn, how much do you spend, how much do you save, and what are your financial goals?
Exactly. And it is so important because when you understand your money, when you know where it comes from and where it goes, you feel more in control of your life. You feel less stressed.
Totally less stressed. That is such a good point. Okay, so let's talk about something very fundamental, very basic, but very important. The difference between needs and wants.
Oh, yes. This is one of the first things you learn in personal finance, and it is also great English vocabulary. So, a need is something you must have to live, something essential. For example, food, water, a place to live, electricity, medicine. These are needs.
And a want is something you would like to have, but you don't absolutely need it to survive. For example, a new pair of shoes when you already have shoes, a fancy coffee from a cafe, eating at a restaurant, streaming subscriptions. Those are wants.
Right. So in English, you might say, rent is a need, but buying a new phone when mine still works, that's a want. Or you could say, I need to pay my electricity bill, but I want to buy new headphones.
I love those examples. And notice how we use need to and want to. Those are very natural expressions in everyday English. I need to pay my rent. I want to go on vacation. Very simple, very useful.
Exactly. And understanding this difference, needs versus wants, it really helps you make better decisions with your money. Okay, Brandy, let's talk about expenses now. What does that word mean?
Yes, so expenses. This is a very important word. Your expenses are the things you spend money on. Another way to say it, your expenses are your costs, the money that goes out of your pocket or your bank account.
So, for example, rent, grocery bills, transportation, phone bills, all of these are expenses. And in a sentence, you might say, my monthly expenses are very high right now, or I need to cut back on my expenses.
Oh, I like that one. Cut back on expenses. That is a really common expression. Cut back means to reduce, to spend less. So I am trying to cut back on eating out. That means I am trying to spend less money at restaurants.
That makes sense. Yeah, and another great phrase, keep track of your expenses. To keep track means to record and monitor. So you might say, I use an app to keep track of my expenses every month. That's very natural English.
Yes, keep track of your expenses. Write that one down, everyone. Okay, now let's talk about some words that beginners often confuse. The words cost, price, and fee. Jason, can you explain these?
Of course. So these three words are similar, but we use them in different situations. Price is the amount of money you pay for something you buy in a store. For example, what is the price of this jacket? Or the price of this laptop is $500.
Right. And cost is a little broader. It can mean the total amount you spend on something, including time and effort, not just money. For example, the cost of living in this city is very high. Or, what does it cost to take the bus?
Exactly. And fee is the money you pay for a service, not a product. For example, a doctor's fee, a lawyer's fee, a bank fee, or a late fee. So you pay a fee for a service and you pay a price for a product. Does that make sense?
It does. That is such a helpful way to think about it. Okay, now let's move on to another very big topic, savings. Jason, what does it mean to save money?
Great question. So to save means to keep some of your money instead of spending it all. Your savings, with an S at the end, are the money you have put aside, the money you have kept. So if I earn $1,000 and I spend $800, I have $200 in savings.
Yes, and some really useful phrases around saving. You can say, I am saving up for something. That means you are putting money aside over time to buy something in the future. For example, I am saving up for a vacation, or I am saving up for a new car.
And you can also say, I put money into my savings account every month. A savings account is a special bank account where you keep your saved money. And the bank sometimes gives you extra money called interest just for keeping it there.
Oh, that's a nice bonus. And here's a tip for you, everyone. Try to save a little bit every month, even if it's a small amount. In English, we say every little bit counts. That means even small savings are important, and they add up over time.
I love that expression. Every little bit counts. All right, Brandy, let's now talk about one of the most important words in personal finance, the budget. What exactly is a budget?
Okay, so a budget is a plan for your money. It shows how much money you have coming in, that's your income, and how much money you plan to spend and save. A budget helps you decide in advance where your money will go.
Right, and the verb is to budget or to make a budget. You might say, I made a budget for this month, or I'm on a budget right now. That means you're being careful with your spending because your money is limited.
And another great expression, I am trying to stick to my budget. To stick to something means to follow it and not go beyond it. So, I only have $300 for groceries this month, and I am trying to stick to that budget.
Stick to my budget. That is such a useful phrase. You will hear that all the time in English. And the opposite, if you spend more than your budget, we say you went over budget. For example, I went over budget this month because I had a lot of unexpected expenses.
Unexpected expenses, yes, that's another great phrase. Unexpected means you didn't plan for it. It was a surprise. So an unexpected expense could be your car breaks down, or your phone screen cracks, or you get a medical bill.
Exactly. And that's actually why financial experts, people who know a lot about money, always say have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is money you save specifically for unexpected situations. And in English, you might say, I dipped into my emergency fund last month. To dip into means to take some money from a reserve you had saved.
Oh, I like that. Dipped into my emergency fund. Okay, now let's talk about income, because you can't have a budget without knowing your income first. Jason, what is income?
Right. So income is the money you receive, the money that comes in, usually from work. And there are some similar words that beginners sometimes confuse. Income, salary, and wage. Let me explain the differences.
Yes, please.
So, income is the general word. It means all the money you receive from your job, from investments, from renting something out, any source. Salary is a fixed amount of money you earn, usually paid monthly or every 2 weeks for a professional job. For example, my salary is $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. And wage?
A wage is money you earn based on the number of hours you work. It's usually for hourly jobs. For example, my wage is $15 per hour. So salary is a fixed amount and wage is based on hours worked. Both are types of income.
That is so clear. Thank you, Jason. Now, let's also clarify two verbs that beginners often mix up, spend and pay, because these are different in English.
Ah, yes, great one. So spend is a general verb. It means to use money. You spend money on things. For example, I spend a lot of money on food. Or, how much do you spend on rent each month? You spend money on something.
Right. And pay is used when you are giving money for a specific bill, service, or debt. You pay for something or you pay someone. For example, I need to pay my rent. I paid the electricity bill. Did you pay the restaurant? So you pay bills and you spend money on things.
Exactly. And you can also say, I can't afford that right now. To afford means to have enough money for something. So I can't afford a new laptop right now. That means I don't have enough money to buy it at this time.
I can't afford that. Yes, that is such a real-life expression. Everyone uses it, and it's not embarrassing to say. It's honest and very natural. You can also say, that's out of my budget. That means it costs more than I plan to spend.
Out of my budget. I love that one. Okay, Brandy, let's now talk about how to manage a budget. What does managing your money look like in real life? And what English words and phrases do we use?
Great question. So, to manage your money means to control it wisely, to make smart decisions. Some great expressions for this are live within your means. This means only spend as much as you earn. Don't spend more than you have.
Mm-hmm. And you might also say, I am watching my spending. That means you are being careful and aware of how much money you are spending. Or, I'm tightening my belt this month. This is an idiom. It means you are spending less money because things are tight financially.
Oh, I love idioms. Tightening my belt. Very expressive. And a practical tip for managing your budget, categorize your expenses. That means put your spending into groups. For example, housing, food, transportation, entertainment, and savings. When you see the categories clearly, it is easier to manage.
That is such a practical tip. And in English, you might say, I allocated $50 to entertainment this month. Allocate means to decide that a certain amount of money goes to a specific purpose. It's a more formal word, but very useful. Yes, and that's the power of learning English through real-life topics. The more you practice using these expressions in context, the more natural they become. Okay, let's talk about one more very important topic, financial goals.
Yes, financial goals are so important. A financial goal is something you want to achieve with your money in the future. It could be short-term, meaning soon, or long-term, meaning in the future, maybe years from now.
Right. A short-term goal might be, I want to save $500 by the end of this year. A long-term goal might be, I want to buy a house in 5 years, or I want to retire comfortably. Retire means to stop working when you are older.
And in English, when you talk about financial goals, you can use phrases like, my goal is to save $1,000, or I am working toward paying off my debt. To pay off means to finish paying something completely. I want to pay off my credit card debt.
Pay off your debt. Yes, very common expression. And another one, I am on track to reach my savings goal. On track means you are progressing as planned. Everything is going well. I am on track to save $2,000 by December.
On track. I love that expression. And if things are not going well, you might say, I fell behind on my savings. Fell behind means you are not where you plan to be. Maybe you spent more than expected. That's okay. It happens to everyone. The important thing is to get back on track. So true. And for our listeners, whether your goal is to save for a vacation, pay off a loan, buy something special, or just feel more financially secure, all of those are valid and wonderful goals. Keep going. You've got this.
You absolutely do. All right, I think it's time for our summary. Brandy, do you want to start?
Of course. Okay, everyone, let's review what we learned today. We started with personal finance, how you manage your own money. We talked about needs versus wants. Needs are things you must have, and wants are things you'd like but don't need. We explored expenses and phrases like cut back on expenses, keep track of expenses, and unexpected expenses. And we clarified the difference between cost, price, and fee, three similar but distinct words. We also covered savings, putting money aside, and phrases like saving up for something and using a savings account.
Then we covered the budget, a plan for your money, with expressions like stick to my budget, went over budget, and out of my budget. We clarified income, salary, and wage, and the difference between spend and pay, including the phrase, I can't afford that right now. And finally, we talked about financial goals, short-term and long-term, with phrases like on track, pay off my debt, and fell behind on my savings. So much great vocabulary in one episode.
That is so much great vocabulary. Our advice to you, start using these words and phrases every day. Think about your money using these English expressions. That is how language becomes natural, through practice and repetition.
And speaking of practice, we have a little exercise for you. Go to the comments section and tell us, what is one financial goal you have right now? Write it in English. We would love to read your answers. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, share it with a friend who is learning English, and subscribe to Let's Master English Together. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself. See you in the next episode.